fund to support the country's infrastructure development and economic recovery. And in sports, the African Netball Cup ends in Lilongwe, with Malawi Queens finishing fourth, while the Kings are at the bottom of the table. And now the news in detail. President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika is expected to arrive in Malawi this afternoon through Bakili Muluzi International Airport in Blantyre, following a private visit to the Republic of South Africa. According to a statement issued by the Office of the Chief Secretary to Government, President Mutharika is expected to arrive at the airport at 5 o'clock. Vice President Justice Dr. Jane Ansah has urged the SADC Troika Summit of Heads of Government to act with urgency to restore peace, stability, law and order in Madagascar. Dr. Ansah said this in Lilongwe when she convened an extraordinary organ Troika Summit of Heads of Government after being delegated by President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, who is the chairperson of the SADC organ Heads of State and Government on Defense and Security. The meeting follows the deployment of a SADC fact-finding mission in Madagascar between 22 and 27 October this year to assess the situation and recommend how SADC can intervene to restore peace. Vice President Dr. Jane Ansah has commended Kamuzu Academy for sustaining a tradition of excellence in academics and arts in the country. Dr. Jane Ansah said this in Lilongwe during the annual Kamuzu Academy Christmas concert. Beatrice Mwape reports.
The annual Christmas concert brought together a cross-section of the audience, students, parents, alumni, music groups, and the public to celebrate the Christmas season and end of the Academy's academic year through music. Speaking during the event, the first Vice President says the orchestra is an example of how discipline, talent, and teamwork can be nurtured to produce excellence that can help in the country's development. Dr. Ansah says music and arts are powerful tools for national development as they transcend social, cultural, and generational barriers. She said the event is a reminder of the importance of investing in young people. The Vice President says government recognizes the important role arts education plays in shaping disciplined, creative, confident young citizens who can contribute meaningfully to the country's development and has pledged government's commitment to supporting the sector.
Allow me to commend Kamuzu Academy for sustaining a strong tradition of excellence, not only in academics, but also in the arts. The Kamuzu Academy Orchestra stands as a shining example of how discipline, talent, and teamwork can be nurtured to produce excellence that uplifts both the institution and the nation. This evening's performances remind us that investing in young people is not merely an option, but a necessity. When we support platforms such as this, we are nurturing talent, promoting positive values, and preserving our cultural identity for generations to come.
Acting Deputy Headmaster for Kamuzu Academy, Yamigani Kwatiwani, says the concert showcases the Academy's commitment to providing holistic education which students can use for life. Kwatiwani says their goal is to produce confident, thoughtful, engaged young people who can contribute meaningfully to society.
We believe that education is what remains in children after they've come out of school. So we hope that the impact is huge. They can apply to the society as they interact with the people outside. Also, they can contribute to the nation.
During the event, the Vice President has donated 1 million kwacha to the school. Among key participants who mesmerized the audience with breathtaking rhythms and vocals were Kamuzu Academy Orchestra, Lilongwe Community Choir, and ABC Christian Academy. Beatrice Mwape, NBC News, Lilongwe.
Meanwhile, the Vice President has emphasized the need for religious bodies to be exemplary in fighting corruption. Musa Seche reports.
After fulfilling some government engagements in the northern region, State Vice President Dr. Jane Ansah on Sunday joined some congregations in Mzuzu City, starting with St. Andrew's CCP of the Synod of Livingstonia. The Vice President read scriptures on Luke chapter 1 verses 26 to 33. After the prayers, Dr. Ansah advised religious leaders to be drivers of change, saying many of the perpetrators of corruption are religious people who also practice the same in their churches. She said churches should be able to scrutinize and further inquire about the source of funds and other donations their members make towards church activities if the contributions are questionable. General Secretary for the Synod of Livingstonia, Reverend William Tembo, said the Synod will always work with government of the day and has since assured the current government of its support ranging from spiritual to development works. Later in the day, the Vice President, accompanied by various government officials and political figures, also joined Christ Citadel International Church in the city, where she reiterated the message on evils of corruption on national development. Deputy Director of Religious Affairs in Democratic Progressive Party DPP, Bishop Silent Mtambo, said the Vice President has shown government's commitment in ending corruption in a God-fearing nation.
This shows that we have God-fearing leaders in this country. I really commend what the Vice President has done, condemning the acts of corruption. But as church, we need to play the leading role to discourage and condemn corruption in this country.
On Sabbath, the Vice President also attended prayers at Uliwa Seventh-day Adventist Church in Karonga. Musase Cheyo, MBC News, Mzuzu.
Malawi has secured a $15 million grant, which is approximately 30 billion kwacha from the Kuwait Fund, to support the country's infrastructure development and economic recovery. This was disclosed when Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization Joseph Mwanamveka met Acting Deputy Director General of the Kuwait Fund, Rashid Al-Badar, and some top officials of Kuwait Fund in Kuwait. During the meeting, Mwanamveka highlighted the key macroeconomic challenges facing the current administration, among them fuel, fertilizer, food, foreign exchange, and pharmaceuticals. Taking his turn, Al-Badar assured Mwanamveka that the Kuwait Fund will support the Malawi government through provisions of grants on an annual basis, starting with $15 million. Mwanamveka says the funds will be used to construct the Blantyre District Hospital to decongest the referral Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital. A scorecard study conducted by the Malawi Network Against Trafficking in the border districts of Karonga and Mangochi has revealed low levels of awareness on human trafficking, a development that is negatively affecting efforts to combat the vice. The findings were presented during a national interface meeting on anti-human trafficking held in Lilongwe. Austin Fukula reports.
National Coordinator for Malawi Network Against Trafficking, Kalibitole, says low awareness is largely due to inadequate funding coupled with limited institutional support towards anti-trafficking initiatives. Tole adds that for the fight against human trafficking to be effective, there is need to intensify public awareness on how people can avoid being lured by suspected traffickers. He further suggests enhanced surveillance in border districts where traffickers are reported using uncharted routes to smuggle victims.
We also being challenged by the anti-trafficking fund because there's a little money going into that fund, even though Parliament allocates funding every year, but it's not enough to keep the malpractice that is there. We also have challenges, especially with our law enforcement agencies, in terms of response, where they may not have fuel, they may not have transport, they may not have knowledge about issues of trafficking.
Meanwhile, Country Director for Norwegian Churchhead and Danish Churchhead, Stefan Yassen, says human trafficking syndicates are well organized, hence the need for collective and coordinated efforts to dismantle them. Yasen explains that this is why NCA-DCA is engaging security agencies, church leaders, traditional leaders and local communities, stressing that every Malawian has a role to play in ending what he describes as modern-day slavery.
Together with our partners in the government, together with the civil society, with the faith civil society, because this is important for us. We'll work with faith-based partners, work together with the churches, but also with the Muslim associations, because only through this angle we think that we can make strides in terms of awareness raising about trafficking in persons, but also tackling the root causes of why people do migrate and why people are falling victim.
According to the Malawi Network Against Trafficking, the country records at least 20 human trafficking-related cases every day. A development stakeholders say is deeply worrying. As a result, organizations involved in the fight against human trafficking are calling for stronger collaboration, increased funding, and sustainable public awareness to curb the vice. Austin Fukula, MPC News, Lilongwe.
The Mining and Minerals Regulatory Authority says Malawi is losing about $300 million annually through illegal mining activities across the country. Director General for the authority, Mphatso Chikoti, was speaking in Mzuzu during a consultative meeting held with chiefs and council leaders aimed at finding ways of curbing illegal mining. Alex Mangos has filed this report read by Jackson Sichali.
Considering the increasing number of illegal mining and the death associated with the same, the Department of Mining, in collaboration with the Mining and Minerals Regulatory Authority, have embarked on a country-wide sensitization and awareness meetings aimed at finding ways of addressing the problem. Andrew Chisamba is the Director of Administration in the Department of Mining and explains the background to the consultative meeting.
Basically, what has prompted this consultative meeting are the accidents that that have occurred across the country. The recent one being in Kasungu. So we thought we shouldn't just sit back as a ministry and as the mining authority. We have decided to go out to the district councils and meet the district councils and also the traditional leaders. Director General of the Mining and Minerals Regulatory Authority, Mphatso Chikoti, says Malawi is losing out about $300 million through illegal mining activities.
There isn't any accurate information, but at least there's a minimum of $300 million US dollars that the country is losing. But it could be even more, it could be even less. But those are rough estimates that we have at the moment.
Paramount Chief Chikura Mayembe of Rumpi says traditional leaders are ready to partner government to end illegal mining activities in their areas.
As chiefs, we are ready to work with the miners as well as the DC's office together to stop illegal mining in Malawi.
The meeting drew together chiefs, district commissioners and other council officials from Rumpi, Mzimba and Nkatabe.
This is MBC News, a reminder of our top stories. President Mutharika expected to arrive in Malawi today following a private visit to the Republic of South Africa. Government secures close to 30 billion kwacha grant from the Kuwait Fund to support the country's infrastructure development and economic recovery. And in sports, the African Netball Cup ends in Lilongwe, with Malawi Queens finishing fourth while the Kings are at the bottom of the table. Welcome back. Malawi Congress Party MCP officials Richard Chimwendo Banda, Vitumbiko Mumba and Jessica Bwila are expected to be taken to court this afternoon following their arrest over the weekend. Deputy Nation Police spokesperson Alfred Jintere confirmed this to MBC and says the three are set to be formally charged at the court. And now Blantyre Chief Resident Magistrates Court has today failed to continue hearing the criminal charges involving a Dutch national, Jan Willem Axter, who is accused of sexually abusing beneficiaries of a secondary school bursary scheme at Timoteo's Foundation, among other issues. The case was scheduled for hearing today, 15 December, and joining us in the studio is our reporter, Charles Chindongo. Hello, Charles.
Hello, Ubide.
So what transpired at the court this morning?
Indeed, it is true that the Blantyre Chief Resident Magistrates Court has shifted the day it will continue hearing a case involving a Dutch national, Jan Willem Axter, until in the near future, that is next year. Instead, the court was scheduled today to continue hearing the case. Instead, they have set aside 21st January 2025 as the day that the court will continue hearing the case. Initially, what was supposed to happen today was that Wim was expected to come with his lawyer. Unfortunately, parties to the case did not show up until the MBC team tried to gather information surrounding the development. That was when we were told that the case will come back to court next year, that is.
All right, so now what are the other major issues surrounding the case?
The major issue is that Wim, who is a Dutch national, is being accused of sexually abusing beneficiaries of a secondary school bursary scheme at Timoteo's Foundation. This is a charity organization that is working in Blantyre in the other districts in the southern region. We understand that Wim was one of the financial directors for the organization. He was one of the financial directors for the charity organization, hence the case in court now. He is being accused during his term of office that he was doing some nasty things with boys at the foundation. So this is a case which has been in court for quite some time.
A very long time, yes.
I started following this case in 2020. The case has been dragging. It's not a good showing to our judicial system.
Yes.
It speaks volumes of how justice is being accessed by Malawians.
Yes.
I understand these boys, some of them have grown up now.
Yes,
They are young men, and the parties to the case would like to see justice being served.
Yes, true.
5 to 6 years is a lot of time. So Malawians are anticipating with keen interest how justice is going to be served in this particular case.
And at the end of the day, the victim should get closure.
Exactly. It's a tricky case before our court.
All right. All right, Charles, thank you very much for joining us live this afternoon.
You're welcome.
Moving on, one of the seed companies in the country, Seedco Malawi, has expressed concern with some traders that are selling counterfeit seeds, saying the development contributes to poor agriculture production in the country. Seedco Malawi marketing executive Oneka Sitali made the remarks in Lilongwe during the launch of Chris Trading Agro Dealership, a strategic partner of Seedco Malawi. Sitali emphasized the need for collaboration to deal with unscrupulous traders in order to enable farmers to have access to quality and certified seeds to enhance their agricultural productivity.
Encouraging our customers, our farmers, to destroy this packaging. Once they have their seed and they have approved that their seed is certified, they should destroy the packaging. In that way, then we are working together with our farmers. But not only that, we are also working with the law enforcement police officers across Malawi. They are late. So when we receive this feedback from the market that such a place, there could be counterfeit seed, the law enforcement officer, they are ready and they immediately respond to that to ensure that this is curbed at a very early stage. We want to unlock food security in the country, and we can only do so if we bring an end to counterfeit seed in the market.
Chris Trading Limited Head of Business Development, Triza Banda, has assured farmers in the country that their company will strive to ensure that farmers access quality seeds. Banda further expressed the company's commitment to supporting the government in boosting crop production and fostering economic growth.
In the past years, we've been having requests from our clients, who are usually organizations, the Malawi government, who are running several projects. Those projects are targeting farmers. So now we said we should reach out to the farmers directly. So that's why we have opened this shop. We are here to give you genuine inputs. We are here to give you authentic products so that we can increase the yield.
As one of creating an economically self-reliant nation, schools have been urged to equip children with entrepreneurial skills from their tender age for improved development. Jackson Sichali reports.
With the mission of ensuring that the country is able to attain the Malawi 2063 aspirations, different schools have been urged to start equipping their learners with entrepreneurship skills. Speaking during the Young Entrepreneurship event organized by the Great North Academy, Councillor from Zomwe Ward in Mzuzu, Francis Chirambo, who represented the mayor for the city, described the initiative as a key driver of achieving the Malawi 2063 agenda. Chirambo said apart from drilling learners in common knowledge in different fields, focusing on entrepreneurship programs is essential in helping young people not to rely on office work only when they grow up.
It's very important to let children undergo entrepreneurship at a very tender age, because Malawi has got its vision, its agenda, Malawi 2063, which is youth-centric. Therefore, for us to achieve that agenda, we need to invest into the youth and the younger ones.
Director for the Great North Academy, Tuonge Nguluwe, said there is need for communities and schools to inculcate an entrepreneurship mindset among learners for the common good of the future generation as the country takes strides of creating a sustainable environment for all.
Over the years, different schools or teachers have been teaching kids that when you grow up, you are going to be this, or asking children, what do you want to be when you grow up? But we've left this idea of entrepreneurship, which most of us we've ended up to becoming one. Like myself, I practically wanted to be a pastor, but here I am doing what I'm doing. So entrepreneurship is one thing that is very key in our daily living.
Rose Midaya, a standard 8 learner at Katava Private School, said she has gained a lot from the training.
This training, to me, it means that if I go up, I can say that if I go up, I want to be a lawyer. In addition, I want to be a lawyer. There in Simple, we sell cassava. So when I go up, I'll be a lawyer and I can make some other business like farming.
The training focuses on equipping entrepreneurial knowledge to children between the ages of 7 to 15. Jackson Sejari, MBC News, Mzuzu.
Now moving on to sports, the Africa Netball Cup ended yesterday in Lilongwe as South Africa were crowned champions in both ladies and men's categories. Malawi Queens finished 4th while the Kings anchored the table. Joining us live is our sports reporter Nobet to give us an analysis. Hello Nobet.
Hello Peter.
Did you see these losses coming?
I would say in the men's category I did not expect a lot, because officially this was the first ever tournament for the Kings to take part in since the team was launched earlier this year. So not much expectations from them. But from the ladies' side, the Queens, I really didn't see them finishing on position 4. I thought they would come up 3rd because I didn't see them beating South Africa and Angola, and Uganda. I thought the Queens would come 3rd. So they lost to Zimbabwe to come 4th in at the tournament was a bit disappointing, because it's not what I expected. I thought we would struggle against South Africa and Uganda as we have normally done, because this is a transition period for the Queens.
Yes.
But I thought they would still manage to grab 3rd position, which did not happen.
All right, now, so what lessons and positives can we draw from the tournament?
Lots of positives. Like I said, this is a transition period. There's a rebuilding process that the Netball Association of Malawi is undertaking. We saw a number of players that were taking part in at such a senior competition for the first time.
Yes.
The likes of Florence Jeke, Mary Asoko, Stella Materezi, you're talking of Aisha Gama, Ashabe Obengo. Lots of youngsters drafted from the under-21 team to the senior team. So I think this is the future of the Malawi Queens going forward. So these are lessons, but also there are certain areas in which we needed to do well. I think in terms of the heights, we still struggled with the heights.
Yes.
Looking at teams like South Africa had the heights, they would just make some 3-4 passes and then they are in the goal circle. For Malawi, we had to pass the ball around, lots of passes, exhausting the energy before we get to the shooting positions. So I think the Netball Association of Malawi also has to continue working, because they are already working on identifying top players to be drafted into the national teams from the junior level. So we still need to work on the heights as we move forward.
All right, now moving on to the TNM Super League. Is it still on or it's over now?
It's still on. With just 2 games left before the end of the season, I think it's too early to conclude that Wanderers are the champions. But we must mention here that Wanderers are the favourites, because they are 3 points clear at the moment with just 2 games left. All they need are 4 points from their remaining 2 matches. So they are favourites to win the Super League title for the first time since 2017.
Yes.
But it is not yet over, because if they lose 1 game and then Bullets win their remaining 2 matches, then things could turn around.
All right, Norbert, thank you very much for joining us live this afternoon.
And thank you for having me.
Well, that item concludes this edition of MBC News. But before we leave, here's a reminder of our top stories. President Mutharika expected to arrive in Malawi today following a private visit to the Republic of South Africa. Government secures close to 30 billion kwacha grant from the Kuwait Fund to support the country's infrastructure development and economic recovery. And in sports, the African Netball Cup ends in Lilongwe, with Malawi Queens finishing 4th while the Kings are at the bottom of the table. For more on these and other stories, visit our digital platforms by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen. You are with me, Abale Kaisa. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon.
Por el costado izquierdo, un poco más